My sleep paralysis. For years now I've been suffering from what I now know is called sleep paralysis. The thing is, I'm not sure it's normal. In fact, I know it's not, because mine comes with dreams so real that I'm not sure they are in fact just dreams. I mean, how many dreams do you have that leave scratch marks on your arms and bruises on your body? Not many, I bet. The first instance I can remember clearly was when I was 15 or 16, when I had a super vivid dream, when I had a sleepover at a friend's and heard voices in the night while totally unable to move even a single muscle. Voices that somehow seemed to be a part of my dream, like when you're close to sleep, so close that you can't really tell what's real and what's dream. Once I was awake, I was absolutely positive it was my friend's father playing some kind of creepy practical joke on me, which was not only super creepy but super mean. What kind of asshat does that kind of thing to their son's new friend? I say it was his father, because there was simply no way the voice I heard could have been made by my friend. He had quite a soft and somewhat squeaky voice at the time, where his dad had a deep booming voice that would have done well as a demon voiceover in films. To say I was pissed would be something of an understatement, and after blowing up the next morning and shouting a whole bunch, to which everyone rightly denied responsibility, I stopped talking to that particular friend for weeks. I only actually started talking to him again when I had another dream and heard the exact same voice, when I was safely tucked up in my own bed. Needless to say, I had to eat a portion of crow and apologize profusely for my previous behavior, and luckily everyone just laughed it off as teen angst or something similar, and laughed even harder when I chuckled myself and said I must have picked up a ghost or something while there and had it follow me to my house. We've been fast friends ever since, thankfully, and after that we even started something of a ghost hunting club. We even went so far as to set up recording equipment whenever I was staying over, and even stayed up super late on several occasions in the hopes of actually seeing something creepy. It was all good fun actually, and we often spent hours doing research on the local area in the hopes of finding out if it was the house, the area, or if I was the one haunted. We took photos of empty dark rooms in the hopes of catching something. We borrowed a camcorder from a friend of my dad's to catch something in similar ways, and we even managed to get our hands on a gadget we bought from the back of a magazine that would tell us if there were ghosts in the area. All of which came to nothing, as every time the gadget was near anything even remotely metallic it went off, and the only thing we ever caught on film was an orb, which was so obviously just a speck of dust being picked up by the camera in the low light. And all this time there were no more voices, no more instances where I felt awake but unable to move. Nothing. We started getting bored with it all, and when we moved house and me and my friend kind of lost touch, it was lost to memory and started to feel distant, like a story I'd heard somewhere, and it wasn't really something experienced by me. It certainly wasn't though. That was evident after about 6 months in the new house when it happened again. I was frozen absolutely still in the night with my eyes wide open, and this time there wasn't just a disembodied voice whispering to me, but I could see a shadow. Something silent, otherworldly in shape, and darker than the deepest pit walking back and forth in the hallway outside my room. Something without form it felt like, and I knew instantly it was me. I was the one haunted. It wasn't my old house. It wasn't the area I used to live, and it certainly wasn't my friend's house. It was hard to make out sometimes, like somehow it was struggling to maintain its shape or form. And although it was only there for a matter of minutes before on one pass, it simply didn't come back, and I could move again. To me it felt like hours as my heart pounded somewhere in my throat where it felt lodged. The next morning I kept it to myself and said nothing to my parents about the night I'd had. They were both kind of old school in their thinking and would either tell me I was dreaming it or more likely call a priest or something and have me exorcised, or even worse, they'd have me put away in a padded cell like I was crazy. In any case, I was struggling to come to terms with what I'd seen myself, and as the day was beautiful and bright, by lunchtime I'd half convinced myself it was just a dream. Until later that night when I knew it wasn't. This time I was frozen with my eyes tightly shut, with an oppressive feeling weight seeming to bear down on my soul, and if I thought I was scared before, it was nothing to the feeling stealing over me when I heard its voice, deep and guttural, speaking words I didn't understand in a foreign tongue, right in my ear. And I felt its breath wash over my skin, causing goosebumps in its wake, like it was stooped over my prone body. I tried to move, to scream out, anything to draw someone, anyone to help, as I was sure it was linked to me alone, and anyone else coming in would cause it to dissipate for fear of being found out and revealed. Nothing. I couldn't even turn my eyes behind their lids. Like time itself. And by extension my body was frozen. Like the whole world was caught between one moment and the next. Meaning even if I did somehow manage to cry out, in all likelihood nobody would come to help me anyway. I was alone with my fear and the demon above me. Alone until it devoured me or killed me in some unspeakable way. Suddenly it was gone, like it was never there in the first place. I took a few deep steadying breaths and lay there in the darkness, listening. All I could hear was my father snoring next door just like any other night, and on those occasions it would be something I cursed as it would keep me awake for hours, but on this night I was glad to hear it. I was glad to have something to focus on that stopped me falling asleep again, and I wondered if my dad starting to snore was the thing that made the creature leave. Again I said nothing for fear of being judged crazy. Stupid, I know. It didn't visit again for a long while. There was no discernible pattern I could work out when it did come again. And again. And again. I just got on with my life as best I could. Despite there being a constant fear of the night, a fear of sleep inside me, never knowing if that night or the next would see me paralyzed and visit it again. When it did happen, things got worse. And after a terrifying visit where I felt claws actually holding me still as it whispered things into my ear I didn't understand, I would find its mark on my body the next morning, in exactly those places I remembered being held down. It went on for longer than I cared to remember that way, and I more often than not had to wear long sleeves to keep the bruises and scratches covered up. I started researching anything and everything on the internet that would help. I've gone to seances, done Ouija boards, I've stayed up late on full moons performing demonic and satanic rituals, I've bought and wear multiple charms, and I've even paid some crock for an exorcism for all the good it did. Nothing worked, and I was truly starting to believe nothing ever would. Until I finally found a cure. You can call me crazy, I'm sure lots of you will. But on a damp, rainy afternoon, I found a moth-eaten rabbit's foot and bought it for $1 at a local swap meet. Ever since then I've been free despite it not being that lucky for the rabbit that lost it. No sleep paralysis, no more being held down at night, and I no longer have to cover up bruises or scratches across my body I can't quite explain, and that's great. In fact, it's better than great, and as long as I carry my lucky rabbit's foot I'm safe. My problem now is that last night I lost it, and for the life of me I can't remember where. You see, it was a friend's birthday, and I might have had a drink, maybe 10, to celebrate with them, and now I can't find it anywhere. So do me a favor and keep your fingers crossed for me. I need all the luck I can get.